Hey folks, what's here? Welcome back to another Poem Master video, and here we go. We got Sygna Blue, finally. Folks have awaited. Got Sygna Blue's stats and moveset and Synchron as well. Do also keep in mind this guy could also go to 6-star EX, which is pretty cool. So there's that as well. So anyways, let's get into it. So overall, I think Sygna Blue looks really good. When you're just looking at Sygna Blue. But I personally think he got semi-shafted in comparison, because Sygna Leaf, which I'll upload the Sygna Leaf video in a bit right after this. Sygna Leaf just seems like an overall, just has everything better than Blue, unfortunately. But like, don't get me wrong, Blue's still a good unit. It's just that in comparison, like, it's not really particularly, like, it just shows. It makes the appearance that Sygna Blue got shafted, even though again still a good unit. Leaf just kind of overshadows him a bit, unfortunately. But anyways, let's go through him and we'll talk a bit more later about that. So it's a water support. Leaf is attack, FYI. It's weak to electric, makes sense. As for its stats, although I personally would have wished that, if they were like, red was weak to water, blue was weak to grass, and, Leaf was weak to the fire. That would have been cool, but oh well. They went with like rock, electric, whatever. As for stats, HP 684, attack 166, defense 298, special attack 190. Special defense 298 as well, speed 116. By the way, do keep in mind, this is not level 120 stats, this is level 125 stats. So when you're comparing it to like all the other units, do keep in mind, this is 125 stats, not 120 stats. So they do look slightly higher than what we are used to, but still, these are very good stats. Well, the speed is terrible, but the HP and defenses are insanely high, right? He's not going to be able to do too much damage. His, his special attack's not that great, and attack is obviously pointless. He doesn't have any physical moves. But like this guy's defenses, are insanely good. So, anyways, going on to its kit, as Water Pulse, which is Water Pulse, right? 47 accuracy. It is a 2-bar. Unfortunately, he does not have any 1-gauge moves. Single target, a small chance of confusing the target, so that's first move. Second move, X Defense All, which is X Defense All. Everyone knows what X Defense All is. And then move 3 is called To the Top. 2 uses, all allies move gauge acceleration, and then +1 crit for the whole team. So it's basically kind of like Rosa's All the Presents, except instead of plus, speed and then +2 of whatever. What was Rosa's All the Presents? +1 speed or +2 speed? I can't remember. I'll look it up right now. But yeah, it's basically Rosa's All the Presents, but instead of all those stats that Rosa's gives, it does give 1 crit, right? Let's see, Rosa's All the Presents. Oh yeah, +1 speed and then +2 of either attack, defense, special attack, special defense, evasion, or accuracy. That one's random. This one's guaranteed, just +1 crit. And then fourth move, Hydro Cannon, water special attack, 4 bars. 178 BP, 90% accuracy, which is basically useless. So here's the thing with Blue. So what it's trying to be is a very tanky support that's trying to give you some offensive and defensive stuff, kind of like Skyla. Well, yeah, Skyla does also give you plus attack on sync move, right? Except Blue's more tankier than Skyla, but it doesn't, obviously is not as good as a supporter in some cases as Skyla, right? Skyla does have potion, which is obviously very busted. Blue, here's the thing with Blue's trainer move is, I really don't like how they made Blue's trainer move, unfortunately. Like, it's +1 crit and move gauge acceleration. Obviously, move gauge acceleration only lasts for a few turns. It doesn't last for the whole game. It only lasts for a few turns. And practically, like, when you look at it, it seems like, oh, you're getting +4 defenses on X defense all, and then you're getting, +2 crit and then move gauge acceleration. But that's never going to happen because you're going to be using the trainer move once, and you're not going to use it again until the move gauge acceleration runs out. So at the beginning of the game, you will only be getting like +1 crit from blue. So you kind of have to bring like another support to help, you're still help your team or crit support if you need it, right? So it's fine if you run Singsu blue with a unit that already has, or a striker that already has Dire Hit Plus. But if your striker does not have Dire Hit Plus, it's going to be very, very hard to run Singsu blue on that team, right? Just because of, again, unless again you bring like another critical hit support. Because if you're using to the top twice, and to the top twice doesn't even get you +3, it gets you +2, right? If you're using it twice in a row, right, you're wasting your move gauge acceleration, which is really good, right? Although, again, unfortunately, move gauge acceleration doesn't last for too long, but for the time that it's here, it's really good. I just really wish it was, instead of that, it would have just been all allies, speed +2 or speed +3 even, right? That might be a bit too powerful, but, at least speed +2 and then crit +1. That would have been really, really nice. But they went with move gauge acceleration instead, which move gauge acceleration, again, in the short term, if you're on a slower team, move gauge acceleration is better than plus speed. But if you're looking at the long term, longer battles, if your team's speed is generally good, right, then plus speed is better, right, in that case. And then the other thing that plus speed gives you an advantage over this is you could just use plus speed. You could use that move twice in a row, and you don't have to worry about wasting the move just to get crit, right? Again, crit is really good, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the third move. Again, it's good. It just could have been so much better, unfortunately, I think. So again, everything else is fine. X defense all is solid. Would have been nice if they gave him a 1 gauge spam on Water Pulse, but unfortunately on the first move. But Water Pulse still okay. The speed's not great, but again, you do get move gauge acceleration, so it shouldn't be that big of an issue, right? As long as you're not trying to conserve MP on your to the top, right? You should be fine. Again, the stats are amazing defensively. Everything else is not really good, but again, you're not going to use them to attack, so the attacking stats don't really matter. Like Hydro Can, you're basically never going to use it. Although it would have been really, really cool if they actually made Hydro Cannon usable, because I love Blastoise. Blastoise is my favorite starter, and I love Hydro Cannon, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we're going to be using Hydro Cannon a lot. And speed's very, very bad. But again, it makes sense. You're super tanky, right? I mean, you can't just have like all the good stats, right? So moving on to the passives and stuff. Its passives are good. But like, here's where the thing with the passives come in. The comparison to Leaf. Leaf has very, very similar passives, except they're just so much better, unfortunately. Unfortunately for Blue, fortunately for Leaf, right? But anyways, we'll go through that in a bit. Let's go through stats first. Again, this is 125 level stats, so grain of salt there. Once it megas, everything else stays the same. The defense and special defense turn to 357 defenses. That is wow, right? like Steelix's defenses, obviously Mega Steelix's defenses are insanely high, but like, its special defense is around like 180 or something, right? Let me double check. I think it's like, yeah, okay, Mega Steelix has more defense, but like its special defense is only like 185, 180. What is it? Yeah, 185 at level 120. But but this guy has like almost as much as Mega Steelix has on defenses on both defenses, which is great. And also, Blue has more HP. Blue has almost 700 HP. This guy's going to be very, very tanky. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a self-heal, on a passive or his trainer move or whatever. But again, it's still good. Like, the raw stats are fine. It's just generally these days tanks with self-heal is generally a bit better and more sustainable. But again, this is good. Like, you cannot convince me that this is bad, right? The stats are really, really good. Moving on to Sync move, Triumphant Hydro Cannon. It's water, special attack, 160 power, right? Mega, 160 power. More of the user's defense is raised to greater the power of this move, so it could potentially do some good damage. right? With your defenses at +6. The only thing is the really bad special attack, right? But like the power, well, I wouldn't say it would do decent damage. It could do, it could have a decent BP. How about that? Phrasing. As for its passives, Force Field 4 has a good chance of raising the special defense of all allied sync pairs when the user uses a move. This is very good. This, in my opinion, is probably Blue's best passive. It's just very, I wouldn't say it's, and you know what, the other passive is good too. Like it's a good passive. There's no point comparing his own passives. Force Field for 50% chance of raising special defense of all allied sync pairs when you use a move. That's obviously, it does seem like it's to remedy the fact that he only has like X defense all and not X special defense all. I would have much preferred if it was reversed, if like it had like X special defense all and like the passive was like plus defenses, just because we have a lot of X defense all units, right? Not as many X special defense all units, right? Like the big one is Misty, obviously, and there's just so many, you know, great X specialty or X defense all units instead. But yeah, this is still really good. I love this passive. Next one, Team Shout 9 raises attack or special attack or both of all allied sync pairs when the user is hit. This looks really good if you've only looked at this passive, right? Singsu Leaf has a very similar passive, except it's, in my opinion, much better, right? So Singsu Leaf's passive is basically this, except instead of Singsu Leaf being hit, Singsu Leaf uses a move, and then it's, instead of attack or special attack or both, it's defense, special defense, or both, right? Here's why Leafs is just better. Because first of all, you don't have to get hit. Not that it's a huge deal either way. Well, generally, if you play right at a high level, you could sometimes, and if you're lucky and you have a good phone, you queue more moves than the opponent, so that's just more activations of that passive. And the other thing is, we're getting defense and special defense from that instead of attack and special attack. Attack and special attack, like, attack and special attack is only useful when your striker is a mixed striker, which is very rare, right? You generally do not want to use mixed strikers. Even if you are using a mixed striker, you want to use one, of the two, right? And the other thing, and the other thing is, like, if you get like it's a chance to raise either attack or special attack or both, right? If you're using a physical striker and you get plus special attack, that was basically a waste. If you get plus attack, that's really good. If you get plus special attack, it's kind of a waste. And if you get both, it's basically no different from just getting plus attack, right? Because there's, again, getting plus special attack is pointless. On the other hand, with defense, almost more, basically almost all of the stages in this game has both physical and special attacking opponents, especially the harder ones, right? The ones with 3 rows of opponents, they usually give you both physical and special. And in Leaf's case, every single time the passive triggers, you will get something good, right? Both defense, whether you get defense or special defense, they're both very useful. And if you get both are really good. The both isn't as useless as well, again, I'm not saying it's not useless, but it's not as bad as Blues when you get both, because when you get both with Blue, it's basically just getting one, right? When you're getting both with Leaf, you're actually getting both. But again, one is offensive, one's defensive. You can't exactly compare it like that, right? But in terms of just the mechanics of the passive, Leaf got a better one, unfortunately. But again, this is still good. You do need a bit of luck here, a bit of an RNG. Although the rates aren't too bad, right? 2 out of 3 chances you'll get the good one. So again, it's good. It's a very good passive. It's just that when you compare it to Leaf just has a better one, unfortunately. Third passive, Safety Net, makes all allies endure the next hit when a sync move is used for the first time. This is fine. Endurance is good. Endurance is good, but Like, I kind of need clarification on this one. Is it when any sync move is used for the first time? Or is it when Singsu Blue's sync move is used for the first time? But because if it is when any sync move is used for the first time, that's really, really good. You know, you could have your striker use a sync move, which is in almost all case scenarios will be your striker using, well, not almost all. In a lot of scenarios, your striker will be using their sync move, or even if it's your opponent. Although very unlikely would you ever let your opponent sync before you, right? Because you will almost always have yourself sync before, just because of how you queue moves, right? But yeah, if it's any sync move used for the first time, then that's really, really nice. If it's blue sync move used for the first time, not as good, right? But I do think it's probably the former one, so don't worry too much on that one. It seems fine. So overall, blue set seems like it's good. It's a good set. Again, very, very good stats. I'm not a huge fan of this trainer move. X defense all is solid. The passives are great, and it's overall a good unit. You know, you can't say it's bad. If you say it's bad, you know, I don't know what's going on with you. I just guess I expected more. I personally expected it to be much better than this, but again, it's not bad. It's not bad. So, anyways, let's get into Syncgrid. The Syncgrid might be the worst Syncgrid in the game. I don't know. The Syncgrid is very, very bad, unfortunately. But again, like, the base unit's already really, really good. The Syncgrid, okay, right? But let's go through it. So, obviously, the same, you know, stat buffs. Water Pulse power up. Water Pulse move gauge refresh 3. I really would have wished they gave it a higher move gauge refresh, like red or something, right? But I'll take it. Move gauge refresh 3 is, again, you know, once you use your trainer move, as long as your trainer move doesn't run out, you shouldn't have much issues with your you know, with your gauges. So it's not that big of a deal. Party Crashers. This is a 15 cost move. This is a 15 cost passive. Look how bad it is. Ensures the next attack of all allied sync pairs will be a critical hit when the Pokemon enters the battle for the first time. This is bad. This is very, very bad. And it costs 15 energy. You will almost, like, there almost is no scenario where you would ever pick this one up, right? The very, very niche scenario where you would use it would be in co-op, where you generally do not want to use supports anyways, but you could use it there, right? But on the other hand, if you just use a unit with dire hit plus all, that's still 80%, and it's not just for one attack, right? This is literally only just for one attack, and like, here's why it's like almost completely pointless in single player, because in single player, first of all, you have crit buffs yourself, so you'll eventually give your striker crit buffs. If not, you know, they could have their own dire hit or whatever, or you could bring another crit buffer, right? And it's only for one move. Man, this is not that great, unfortunately. Like, I guess you can ensure that your sync move crits, but like, still, even without that, it's still 80% chance. Like, this is just straight up sad. Like, what are they doing with this one? Anyways, moving on. More stats. Endurance is nice. Endurance is always nice. It just sucks at endurance. Sync moves hit through endurance is really sad. Like, a lot of times you just get wiped out by sync moves anyway, so endurance doesn't. But like, endurance is still good. It's still good. Is it worth 10 energy? No, but fortunately on this grid you don't really have much else to pick up, so you could pick that up, I guess. More stat notes. You got a lot of speed, a decent amount of speed notes, which is nice, I guess. Natural Remedy once per battle removes all status condition from the user when the user is inflicted by a status condition. This is good. It's nothing too crazy, but it's good to have, right? Special attack to the top MP refresh 3. This is nice, but it's really standard. Racing Rain 2 quickly charge move gauge if the weather is rainy. To the top, and you read that right, move gauge refresh 9. This is probably the most useless ability I have ever seen. To the top charges the user's move gauge by 1 when the move is successful. It's not even like, you know, the whole team's, you know, move gauge, everyone gets like +1, so you get like +3. It's +1, and it is on a move that gives you move gauge acceleration, which means once you're using that trainer move, you will almost never have to worry about like your move gauge at all. Like your move gauge will basically be at max like 2 seconds later. Why are you giving this extra +1 move gauge? This is completely pointless and just terrible. At least it's not like as overpriced as like the other one. It's only like 7 energy or cost, I guess. Raging Rain 3. Yeah, this guy's not going to do damage. Don't have to worry about that. Hydro Cannon power-ups. More Hydro Cannon power-ups. I mean, you can do like okay-ish damage, but it's like, you know, obviously as a striker, you definitely want to use something else, right? Refreshing Rain 1 restores the Pokemon's HP whenever it takes an action during when the weather is rain. This is very, very good. Unfortunately, we don't have that many great rain users, right? Winona's good, but obviously you don't have a grid. It's not infinite. But this is probably the best node on his grid, aside from the, you know, the standard move gauge refresh, MP refresh stuff, right? Because you guys know Steelix, right? Steelix, if you're not using recuperation, if you're not using soothing sound on Steelix, like Blue has very, very high defensive stats. It still goes down relatively quickly, right? So this is good. You run it in rain, very, very good, right? Hydro Cannon power-ups, Hydro Cannon propulsion, you know, 30% chance of reducing sync move countdown by 1. This is, again, really, really pointless, unfortunately. X defense halt, move gauge refresh, which is nice. Quick cure, this is nice to have as well, especially for a tank. But again, it's only once, but it's again, you know, it's still nice, other stuff, smart cookie, more user special defense has been raised, more powers up moves. Wise entry 2, sharply raises user special defense when it enters the battle. Impervious stats can be lowered. Hydro Cannon accuracy. What? I'm pretty sure it's power plus 25. Again, this is, unfortunately, we are using Absolute's info here, which sometimes aren't exactly the most accurate. But yeah, it makes no sense because sync moves always hit 100% of the time. But yeah, the grid is not really good, unfortunately. The grid's not really good. It has some helpful stuff, but nothing is crazy, right? Impervious is wow, 10 cost for Impervious on this guy. Okay, so Impervious is situationally good. Quick cure, again, nice to have. Same thing with the other one. Aside from that, it's just, you know, MP refresh. Refreshing Rain is nice. Overall, just nothing too much. Like, I was hoping for, like, so much better. Like, why couldn't they make his grid better? Like, why not give it critical squad on the trainer move so we don't have to worry about crits, right? Honestly, if they gave him critical squad, like the one that Sabrina has, if they gave him critical squad on his trainer move or to the top, it would have completely just fixed this move. Completely fixed this move. They I don't know why they didn't give him critical squad, which seemed like an obvious one. Healthy healing? If this guy had healthy healing, this guy would, like, absolutely busted. Or catalytic cure on water pulse, right? If they give it that. Or even vigilance. If they gave him vigilance, like, plus, like, one of either catalytic cure or healthy healing, this guy would be completely busted. But they didn't. And he's still good. Again, he's still good. He's just not as good as I, you know, hoped he would have been, right? Because, you know, it's hyping up them. However, don't worry, Leaf is very, very good. The anniversary units are still good. They're good. They're just not, you know, or not they. Blue is just unfortunately not as good as I personally would have hoped he would have been. But still, solid unit. Very, very tanky, which is nice. Got some really nice passives. And let's not talk about the Synchron anymore. But anyways, that's me. That's what I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know guys think in the comments down below. Like and enjoyed this video. So our channel for some more Pokemon Masters content. I will be going over Singsu Leaf's set in a bit as well. So stay tuned for that. And also the Lyra, Ethan, and Chris's Synchrons. So do subscribe if you guys want all those videos Lyra Synchro is the opposite of this guy's Synchro. Lyra Synchro is absolutely busted. So, anyways, I'll see you guys when we get to those.